Welcome to the 2025 Solita Summit and its AI Transformation track. In this track, we'll talk about how AI transforms businesses and organizations, and we'll focus especially on getting from exploration to making an impact. So how do we get from POCs and pilots to creating some actual value of AI? I'm Radia's co-host, Lasse. I'm head of generative AI enablement at Solita and also lead Solita's Gen AI studio. In the keynote this morning, I paid attention to one of the oldest dilemmas we have in tech, and I think in innovation in general. We get excited about shiny tools, and we really get excited about them. We want to try them and use them in everything and everywhere. And then we forget some crucial things, like making sure we have a purpose, making sure there's intent to what we're doing, making sure that we have a problem that we're solving, and that we're creating some value. And that was something I paid attention to, and it's something we'll focus on in a track again. How to create real impact from the work we're doing with AI, not just get excited about the tools. Learning is okay, that's a good intent, but we have to do something more than just learn if we want to create value from AI. Radia, how do we get from exploration to impact with AI?
That's a very interesting question, Lasse. And hi everyone, I'm Radia and an AI business expert, joining you today from Belgium. So like Lasse said, one of the big questions we are asking today is how do we move from exploring AI to making it actually matter? And it's something that came up a lot actually in my work over the past few years. And I found that the technology is actually not the hardest part. It's not at all. And what is really important is actually making sure that it fits into real life, into decisions that we make, into workflows, into the way people work day to day. And that's also something that stood out when I read our Ways of Tech report that was published actually just a few weeks ago. I encourage you to check out. It's really good. And there was like one chapter which was like, how do we move from AI capability to AI impact? And it really captured that shift. The fact that we often hear from customers, yes, we've done pilots, we've built models, but for some reason, things are not really changing yet. And for me, that shift begins when we stop treating AI as a side project and really start to see it as a part of how we create value, how we solve problems, and how we make decisions. And it's really a topic that I'm very interested in, so I'm really glad that we get to dig into it and actually explore that topic with you today. So what about you, Lasse? How do you see everything that you've seen in organizations? What has helped make that shift happen, actually?
Yeah, I also want to mention the Ways of Tech report, which I read too and highly recommend it. And I have a long background in life sciences and pharma. And one of the things that I noticed or read from the report, especially with a special attention, is the medtech section. And that's a good reminder again of how making impact with AI is not just about working with AI, it's everything around it. To make an impact there, you have to think of things like regulations and reimbursement models, value chains, and you have to think about the patient and the other stakeholders that are impacted by the medication or whichever solution that we're bringing. Software as a medical device is completely possible to do, including AI components, but we have to think about the surroundings, not just the product itself or the technology. And that was a good reminder again of how it's about the context of everything. What's your favorite industry story from the last few years?
Yeah, that's really a great example that you gave, Lasse, and actually it reminds me of something I've seen quite recently. And I've been working with a company that has been experimenting with AI for already a few years, actually. And they've done like several solid proof of concepts. They've built a lot of models, very strong models. They've done pilots. But for some reason, they were really struggling to move from those experimentation to real impact at scale. And 6 months ago, they decided to make a change. They decided to change and try a different approach where they really instead of just building more AI models, they started to focus on creating the right environment around those models. So what they did is they started an AI journey. They brought in AI designers to help bridge that gap between the business and the tech. And they improved their processes. They made also quite some space for business teams to be able to take real ownership. So when I'm saying ownership, it's not just about using AI, it's really into shaping where and how it's being applied. So interestingly, their technical capabilities did not change that much, but the results did. And it was quite impressive to see that over just a few months, they had incredible results in terms of efficiency, in terms of adoption. That was really a strong reminder that the best results actually don't often come from having the most advanced model in production. It's really designing it in the right conditions, where people really understand it, where they are part of it, part of the journey, and where they trust it.
Finnish architect and designer Eli Saarinen, he famously said, always consider a thing in its larger context. So if you're designing a chair, design it in the room in the house in the environment, and the environment in the city plan. It's the same with AI, and as you described it, the AI solution should be in their larger context, and we always need to consider that context. That's a good reminder again of this. Another thing I paid attention to from Rachel's keynote this morning is she talked about trust, and for those of us working in the industry with AI at the moment, it can feel quite overwhelming. There's new models and new news coming every day. And I feel for the AI leaders, the business leaders, the IT leaders who are trying to cope with all of this, and I'm one of them, and it can feel overwhelming. But what I found comforting in Rachel's talk is how it's still about people. So overcoming this feeling helps when we can work with people. We still remember that actually we work with people we can trust. We can work together, we can collaborate, we can learn together. And that brings me comfort, just as a reminder again that we're still dealing with people, even if we're talking about AI. So I would say there's sort of three themes that I'm going to pay attention to. One is this aspect of people. How do we collaborate together? The other one, which is where we started, intent or purpose. Make sure that we're doing this for some purpose. And then we talked about context. So use AI in its right context. What are you looking forward to, especially in the sessions today?
There are a lot of things to look forward, but what I'm really looking forward is actually the mix of topics that we have today. So we have different presentations, one about workforce planning at global scale, one about defining a full AI strategy in the construction industry, how energy companies like GASM are adapting through data and AI. So it's really interesting to see how each of those brings something completely different, and together I really think that they will bring a rich view of how AI transformation really looks like in practice.
Awesome. I think it's time maybe to get into the actual session. Shall we do it?
Yeah, it's time. Let's go.
Welcome to our track.